Hey there, welcome to LSAT Demon Daily. I'm Ben Olson, that's Nathan Fox. Together we're the founders of LSATDemon.com and our weekly podcast, Thinking LSAT. We have an email from an anonymous listener.
Says, hello, this is a generic question. Do y'all here at LSAT Demon have any suggestions on how to properly concentrate? Are there blog posts, podcast episodes, or lessons I can read / watch on repeat? I'm already a little
You need
worried,
to hear it multiple times?
Yeah, like what? I mean, if you were concentrating, why would you need to read listen / watch on repeat? How about
Maybe this is the core problem.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't have trouble focusing on logical reasoning and logic games, but sometimes the reading comp passage I'm reading can be pretty freaking boring. Sometimes I can read 3 lines without even realizing that I'm not paying attention, and then I'll have to reread the whole thing. I hate it and try to avoid it, but it still does happen once every so often, especially, or should I say exclusively, when I'm doing natural science passages. So yeah, any advice, admonitions? Your help will be much appreciated. That's from Anonymous.
Well, I should take this moment to say that we are on the verge of releasing your meditation into drilling.
Oh, nice.
So that'll probably happen today or tomorrow, actually, and this is being recorded on March 22nd. So by the time this comes out, it should be there.
The way we envisioned this is if you're drilling in the demon for like an hour, you're going to get a little interrupt that says, hey, good job. Nice work. Notice you've been sitting there for a whole hour straight drilling.
Yep.
Want to take a little break? And then we have a little meditation.
Exactly.
Soon to come, we're also going to have some little stretches.
Yes, like yoga.
Now, if you don't like these things, you can skip them, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And you can set the duration in which how frequently they appear. I did a little bit of research, and I came up with different numbers based on some random studies and landed on 40 minutes. So the default time is if you drill straight for 40 minutes, that includes review, then it will pop up. But you can make that longer, shorter.
That could just be one question, by the way.
That could be one question.
You miss it, and then you really need to dig in. Or one reading comp passage, you read it, you maybe, like this anonymous correspondent, you have a hard time with it. You have to reread it. You struggle through the questions. You're reviewing. You're trying to figure it out. That's all really high quality, valuable use of your time, by the way. But then the demon breaks in after. Now, this is after you're done, right? When you click next.
Yeah, absolutely. So instead of going to the next drilling question, it says, and it's going to pop in a question that's actually a meditation.
And this is even a more valuable use, potentially, of your time.
Absolutely.
Because the purpose of this meditation is to get you to, you're just basically training your brain to focus, like training your brain. You're just calming yourself down to where you're going to just center and let everything else go and then focus on actual understanding of the next thing that comes up.
Exactly. Now, I would also add, so this meditation thing is going to happen, and assuming you're in the demon and are drilling, then you will encounter it. Meditation is just good for becoming self-aware of your thoughts and how your thoughts can go off on tangents and how you can bring them back, and there's nothing wrong with that. I would say specifically for reading comp, I would stop thinking about your job as to read the passage, and I would start thinking about your job as to read the first sentence. You don't need to get through that whole passage. You need to get through that first sentence. And then once you're done with that, you can turn your focus to the next sentence.
Yeah, notice what Anonymous says. Sometimes I can read 3 lines without even realizing that I'm not paying attention. And I was expecting Anonymous to say, and then I'll have to reread those 3 lines. But that's not what Anonymous said.
Yeah.
Anonymous said, and then we'll have to reread the whole thing.
Yeah.
Which, if this is happening in the middle of the passage or the end of the passage,
Yeah.
then now we've got a real disaster on our hands.
Because you really weren't paying attention
Exactly.
the whole time.
Exactly. I think that this problem, I think the problem is even worse than Anonymous thinks it is. I think that this problem has been happening from the very beginning, the very first sentence. I think you're not tuned in enough at the top of the passage.
Yep.
I think Anonymous thinks that this is happening in the middle of the passage or the end of the passage.
That's
But
just
it's-
where Anonymous is becoming aware of the
Exactly.
problem.
It's a
Yeah.
symptom, not the cause. And the cause is, I love what Ben just said. I'm going to steal that, Ben. I've never thought about it exactly that way before, but I'm going to start saying that in my classes. Your job is not to read the whole passage. Your job is to read the first sentence and comprehend it. And if you have to reread the first sentence in order to comprehend it, then you damn well better reread that first sentence and make sure you're understanding what's going on.
Yeah.
Once you've done that, then your job is to read the second sentence.
Yep.
So that's what Anonymous needs to work on. It ain't about blog posts and podcast episodes and lessons and like learning how to concentrate. It's about doing a better job on your reading comprehension of just making sure that you're chewing your food before you swallow it, basically.
Yeah, and practicing concentration one sentence at a time. It's like you want to hear about how to concentrate as opposed to actually just trying to do it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the
People
fastest
don't-
way to learn.
Yeah. People, they persist in, it's like, what I think Anonymous, this is what students commonly think. Oh, yeah, I'm going to concentrate. So I just need to learn how to concentrate while I read the passage fast. Because the clock's ticking. I've
Yeah.
got 4 passages in 35 minutes, and the clock's ticking. And so I need to get through this passage. It's like they have this default assumption that they have to read the passage fast no matter what. But then I also want to learn how to concentrate. I just don't know how to concentrate, especially when it's about natural sciences. I don't know how to concentrate while I
Go quickly.
skim the passage and don't actually read it carefully.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're making the challenge very difficult for yourself. You're like doing two things that are antithetical to each other.
Yeah, it's just an impossibility.
Yeah.
Like, students read the passage faster than I do.
All the time. All the time. I take 4 to 5 minutes. Most
Yeah.
people are done and they're in the questions.
I'm the guy who doesn't really miss questions. I mean, from the first day of my LSAT prep, I hardly ever missed questions on reading comp.
Yeah.
And I never had a problem with time on reading comp. But paradoxically, students read the passage faster than I do
Yeah.
and think they have a problem with speed,
Yeah.
which they do because they don't really read it carefully enough and don't actually understand it because they tried to go too fast.
Yeah.
Then it takes forever on the questions.
Yeah.
They waste time on the questions because they just didn't read the passage well enough to begin with. And they didn't read the passage well enough to begin with because they didn't read the first sentence well enough to begin with.
Yeah. Thanks for writing in. I hope that helps. Email daily@lsatdemon.com if you'd like to ask us a question or share some LSAT or law school admissions news. Thanks for listening.